Hello, everyone. I'm Deja. I'm a senior product marketer here at Attentive. I lead our go-to-market for SMS and AI products, and I've been here for almost 3 years, but been a fellow marketer for over a decade. So I want to thank you all for joining us and welcome you to SMS Plus, the Cyberweek special. So we're all here today because we share a common goal and challenges going into Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and we recognize as marketers that you have fewer resources and time and are looking to new tools like AI and automation to help you win this holiday season and beyond. So that's why we've invited a few of our partners and best in breed solutions, which many of you may already be using in your tech stack to help you be more strategic when navigating the pain points of prioritizing the vital few versus the worthwhile many, which we also believe AI can help with. So before we dive into this very interesting discussion, I'd like to thank our amazing panel and sponsors for today's events, but also allow them to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their companies. So Jocelyn, I will start with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jocelyn. Very happy to be here today. I'm head of partnerships at Mention Me. Quick overview, Mention Me helps brands really improve their word of mouth, really by helping them get a better understanding of their customer base and what makes them spread the word.
Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor. I'm a senior product marketing manager here at Loop. And Loop, if you're not familiar, is a returns management platform that helps e-commerce brands drive exchanges, retain revenue, and ultimately build customer loyalty by encouraging repeat purchases. Excited to be here today.
Hi, all. My name is Amanda, and I'm a CRM consultant at Amperity. Amperity is the customer data platform that helps brands build the unified first-party customer data foundation that they need to grow revenue, reduce costs, save time, and stay compliant.
Awesome. Thank you, panelists. And now that we've all gotten acquainted, let's dive in. So first, show of hands from the panel. How many of us have read at least one article about AI? And then for those watching, feel free to sound off in the chat. Drop in an emoji that describes your feelings on AI. So out of all of us, we've all read an article, right? Of course. So if you get a lot of brands together to talk about the future of retail, you're almost guaranteed to have at least one conversation about AI. So it's definitely the next frontier for marketers, and everyone's trying to get a better idea on how to use these new tools to transform all of their day-to-day work. But let's get started on these panel questions that we have prepared. And because we don't have a ton of time, of course, I'll call on just a couple of you for each questions. Some might be all of you, but just want to make sure the audience is mindful of that. So first question, what challenges are you excited for AI to help brands be more efficient in driving ROI this Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Amperity, let's start with you.
Sure. I'm excited about brands having the ability to identify a customer's preferred shopping channel at any given point in their journey and target them in that channel at that moment. Over time, a customer's shopping channel preferences naturally shift, and brands should be able to automatically adjust where they are marketing to those individuals rather than blanket messaging across all channels. A lot of brands right now are dealing with marketing budgets that are flat year over year with higher bottom line goals, and this is a way to reduce marketing spend on any redundant campaigns.
Awesome. I know I definitely can't wait for the day when we are using more data to determine people's channel preferences. And I think I read a study recently that said like 68% of consumers would switch brands if they were offered a more tailored experience. So I think that also includes channel preferences. So in an ideal world, AI helps us make better use of that data, right? But anyways, what about you, Jocelyn? What are your thoughts on driving ROI?
Sorry, just had to unmute there. I really think that to drive ROI, brands really need to do two things during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And the first is really try and leverage more from your customers that come and buy for the first time. So yes, they've bought, but could they be referring their friends and family? And the second thing is really acquiring long-term customers. So rather than just that one and done customer who often costs more more than what they bring. So really the first step is about getting that referral program in place, and then you can really start to leverage AI in that program to acquire those long-term customers. So we know that customers who are introduced through to a brand through a family or friend have double the lifetime value and 5 times more likely to go and refer their friends. So how do we use AI to get more customers like that coming through? And so we use we use AI and machine learning to predict someone's propensity to refer. So what I'm really excited about is how brands can use that for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So let's say you have a group of people that you know have a very high propensity to refer. You can build your strategy around that and make sure you have exclusive offers for them and say, here's an exclusive offer during Black Friday. But then on the flip side, if you know someone has a lower propensity to refer, so they're going to be a lower long-term value to you, you could actually help with your margins and offer them a lower discount during Black Friday and kind of reduce your cost there.
Definitely important to think about the long-term or lifetime value of the customer and make sure our marketing efforts are optimized to nurture those relationships, especially in a digital space. So awesome. And then, so we'll move on to the next question. In an increasingly saturated e-commerce market, how can merchants differentiate themselves and create a unique customer experience using AI or data-driven strategies beyond the basic customer segmentation, dynamic content, and simple product recommendations? Give us your top practical tip. Let's start with Mention Me. So back to you, Jocelyn.
Yeah, great. I actually love this question because I really think it's all about meeting people where they are in their relationship with your brand. So AI and data-driven strategies allow you to far better understand trends and behavior across your customer base now. And using that, you can massively improve the customer experience without needing to make massive changes. So use the power of AI to get better understanding of your customers and ensure that you're communicating with them the right message and at the right time, depending on their relationship with you. I've got a good example of some amazing work we're doing with Puma right now. And I guess most brands look at lifetime value and the RFM model to identify their most important customers. But when you actually layer referral data on top of that, you can do lifetime value plus the revenue that person has brought in through referring their friends. And we call it extended customer revenue. When we did this with Puma, we were able to actually see there's a huge amount of customers sitting in their lower lifetime value, but had higher extended customer revenue. So they weren't buying themselves, but they're referring a ton of friends. So now knowing this, Puma, instead of talking to them like a lapsed customer saying, hey, come back during Black Friday, Cyber Monday with this discount, they're now talking to them going, hey, thank you so much for being an advocate and of our brand, we want to give you an exclusive offer during this Black Friday, or you get it before anyone else does. So it's really making them understand that Puma knows their status of their relationship with them, and it feels connected.
Awesome. I love that. I think we all can agree what separates one brand from another is the customer experience. So of course, with that, we can't take a one-size-fits-most approach, right, to retain those customers. But what about you, Amanda? What's your pro tip?
Yeah, my recommendation really kind of expands on what Jocelyn was saying. Take a look at your customers' year-round buying behavior and leverage those insights to target them at key moments in their journey. So some of the questions that I think about, or what you could ask yourself, are, do you have lapsed customers who are only shopping holiday season that you can tease a sneak peek of your upcoming promos early on to try to win them back? Can you identify who your highest value customers are? Give them an exclusive VIP gift guide or offer. Drive frequency with that group. And then even thinking about December, come December, when shipping cutoffs hit, do you have customers that live within 20 miles of a store, close to a store that you can drive BOPUS messaging? So really being strategic and thoughtful about who your customers are based on insights and their buying behaviors. Of course, segmentation, personalization, all of that is super important, but timing and delivery of the message for each customer is equally important.
Awesome. Thank you. Couldn't agree more. I know I'm a big advocate of marketing automation based on buyer behavior, especially even as a B2B marketer. So, it's always important to make sure your messaging is not only relevant, but also timely. So with that, let's also hear from Taylor at Loop.
Yeah. So I think when we think about returns, it's easy to think about that as like the end of the customer journey. But at Loop, we like to take an approach of it really is an opportunity to be the beginning. And one big piece of that is allowing brands to leverage all of the historical data from their past returns to inform the pre-purchase journey and experience for new customers or even repeat customers who are coming back to try and find a product and have a long-term relationship with the brand. So for us, one of our top tips is really trying to help brands understand what are the top reasons that those items that people are buying are actually coming back. And we know sizing is a huge part of that. It's one of the main reasons why a customer would return an item in the first place. So brands can really leverage this data to not only think about how do we improve our products, but also how do we tailor that to the customer experience. So if you know, for instance, that a certain product like a t-shirt is consistently coming back because it's running too small, think about ways you can leverage that on your product description page to update your size chart, or maybe add some additional context to flag to customers, hey, this item is commonly flagged as running small. So you might want to size up to help them ideally get the customer or get the right product the first time around and not have to do a return. But then to add on to that, in the cases where certain returns are going to be inevitable, it's really about leveraging the data that you have on your customers to tailor that post-purchase experience. So for instance, if you know that you're going to be trying to drive a lot of repeat purchase and positive experiences with your VIP customers or those who are a part of your loyalty program this Black Friday, Cyber Monday, think about ways that you can specialize and customize their return experience. So giving them longer return windows, or maybe waiving shipping and handling fees on returns for them so that they know that no matter what, whenever they come back to buy from you, they're going to be taken care of and they're going to have a positive experience.
Thank you, Taylor. There's definitely a lot to be learned and action on from those data trends. And to your point, not just on your pre and post-purchase marketing, but also your product strategy. So next question, AI and automation have the potential to streamline operations, drive efficiency, and personalize experiences at scale. But how can merchants ensure that they maintain a human touch in those customer interactions and maintain authentic connections with their audience? So I'm going to throw it back to you, Taylor, from Loop.
Yeah. So I think the first part of this is really about making sure that there's strong touch points to keep customers both informed and engaged throughout the entire shopping journey, whether that's from the point of pre-purchase all the way through to the post-purchase experience. And a lot of this, I think, ties in with what Amanda was saying about right time, right place, providing transparency and timely notifications and updates so that especially when things get hectic for both brands and consumers around the holidays, they feel like I know that I'm going to be getting the right and up-to-date information from these brands about where my product is, where my return might be, what the status of things looks like. And a lot of that can be done, obviously, with automation. But I think especially when it comes to returns, making sure that you're automating scenarios that make sense to. So letting customers self-serve the return and giving them the opportunity to do it whenever is convenient for them, making sure they have a self-serve portal that they're able to just go in, and if they want to take that self-serve approach, they have an option. They're not stuck having to, call somebody or send an email or wait for that human interaction. But on the flip side, making sure that you do have humans behind those interactions, that you want to make sure if somebody has a negative experience, for instance, or they're running into challenges or issues with just getting to the ultimate outcome that they're trying to, which in our case, a lot of times is I ordered this thing and I was really excited about it. And actually, maybe it didn't meet my expectations and I'm disappointed. Making sure that you have a balance of having humans on the other end when it makes sense, so that no matter what, if it's the tools or the technologies that your customers are interacting with, ultimately they walk away from interactions with your brand feeling like, wow, I'm really being taken care of. This is a brand that I have trust in, that I know maybe if something doesn't work out the first time, they're going to work to make it right. And they do care about me as a consumer.
Great. And I know personally as a consumer, and maybe more so as a millennial, I love a good self-serve experience. So that's great advice. What about you and Amperity? How do you think about maintaining a human touch?
Yeah, so this answer is a little bit more on the technical side, but when I think of AI and automation, I also think about the importance of QA checks. Oftentimes, QA checks themselves are automated. So we're talking notifications when a campaign doesn't get delivered, or you get an error that pops up when there's data missing. All of these notifications help keep everything running smoothly and reduces any errors being seen in live campaigns. So super important. However, it's still crucial to have a real person as part of your QA process. Just thinking something might change in the underlying code and the automated process just continues to run as designed, but then the output is incorrect. We actually had this happen with a brand recently that was launching automated product recommendations in email campaigns. So during a quick QA, we noticed that one particular customer had historically only purchased women's clothing, but was receiving men's apparel recommendations. So when something is wrong with an AI output, it's pretty obvious to a customer, and it isn't an ideal experience. So having that real human touch for QA can reduce errors being sent downstream and catching them in that standard automated process.
Totally. Like while AI can do a lot of the heavy lifting, human oversight is definitely always a must to make sure we're maintaining the level of quality that we want. So last but not least, let's hand it over to Mention Me.
Yeah, so I think the recent interest in generative AI, for example, has led to a lot of questions around how it could be used for content creation. But if we solely rely on it, we'll lose that human touch with our customers and risk a more homogenized experience that, whilst efficient for our content strategies, can create a detachment between the people behind your brand and your customers. So I think the key here is how you get people to connect and talk through AI-driven content. And again, if you use AI to understand more about your customers and what drives them, you can do just that. So I think All Plants demonstrates this really well. So they understand that some of their customers are more driven by environmental impact than discounts during Black Friday. And so for Black Friday, these clients see an offer that has nothing to do with the discount, but instead they commit to planting trees for every referral that is given. And so this not only makes this portion of their clients feel connected, but also gets them talking to their like-minded friends about it. So it's really combining that AI capability with that human touch within your communication.
And we love talking about generative and conversational AI at Attentive and how that powers a lot of content creation and relationship marketing as well. So it's another difficult strategy to scale for sure without technology. But of course, you need to have that balance between both. But at the very least, it'll help you improve your response times or make content more accessible while making things a little more consistent across the board. But final question. You've probably asked a lot about you all have probably asked about a lot about BFCM advice, but I want to switch it up a little bit since I'm sure there's a ton of answers out in the wild. But what is one piece of advice you'd share with our audience that's something to avoid for this upcoming holiday season? So what would you recommend they not focus on, especially when it comes to how they spend their time and their resources? So let's again start with Mention Me.
Yeah, great. I think it kind of goes back to the first question. I think don't offer the same discount to all customers. So make sure you have exclusive offers for customers that have the potential to be high value to you. As an example, if you know that customers that buy on Black Friday discounts have a higher average order value when they've been referred by a friend, then make sure that you're leaving room for higher discounts from them, and build this type of knowledge into your discount strategy, and then save margin on maybe offering lower discounts to customers that may come through more expensive channels like PPC, or channels that tend to have a lower lifetime value associated with the customers, like affiliate. So it's really just making sure you don't have a one-size-fits-all discount strategy.
Great. And then what about you, Taylor?
Yeah, so kind of to build off of that, I think it is kind of about finding the balance, right, of customizing both your discount strategy and your experience based on what you know and the information that you know about those customers, but also towing the line between not getting too overcomplicated with a discount strategy for each individual customer. So something that we've seen and I've personally experienced is kind of this feeling of, I don't know what the discount's going to look like today versus tomorrow versus next week versus the week after that. And so you can run the risk of, if you overcomplicate your discount strategy, of potentially confusing customers or maybe alienating them to the point where they're like, well, I don't know when the best time for me to buy is. And maybe I'm going to hold off, because if I buy something now, then if it's going to go on sale even further, maybe I should have waited. And then what that can kind of create for your customers and for your teams in some cases is then some additional follow-up outreach of like, hey, I bought this thing and then it went on sale an extra 30% off. Can I get a price adjustment? You know, it's kind of customers looking to get the best deal and not knowing when the best deal is going to fall in their lap. So totally agree with what Jocelyn said about making sure that you're creating a tailored and personalized experience through what you know about those customers, and tying that to what's going to be the thing that drives them to buy, or, you know, brings them in and piques their interest based on what we know about them. But balancing that with not getting too overcomplicated and then potentially burdening your customers and your customer support teams in the process.
Thank you. And then finally, Amanda.
So this might be a little controversial, but I would avoid going above and beyond over-investing resources and dollars during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Hear me out. So every year, the holiday selling season is starting earlier and earlier. You can get your pumpkin spice latte in August, and holiday decorations are on the shelves in September. Customer expectations have shifted with the belief that deals happen all season long, with less emphasis on needing to only shop during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So yes, you should absolutely have a plan, but take advantage of the extended holiday selling season and drive the repeat purchases all season long.
That's actually really funny. Is our pumpkin spice latte now our groundhog for
Yes,
Friday?
it is.
I love that. That's funny. But I definitely echo all of what you all just said, and thank you. And think that everyone watching can use a lot of your solutions to help support some of these strategies, which I think is also a perfect segue to conclude our panel discussion. So I hope that everyone found these insights shared helpful on how to use AI to make their lives easier during the busiest time of the year. But also the learning doesn't stop here. So our guest panelists will now walk us through a few easy workflows that everyone can implement today, tomorrow, next week, whenever in the near future, ideally, to drive higher engagement and conversions for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So of course, all of this will be using their solution in collaboration with SMS on Attentive. So let's kick those off with Jocelyn.
Yeah, great. So I guess quickly, just an overview of Mention Me. If we go to the next slide, great. So after a decade of successfully working with over 650 brands to drive over 2 billion in incremental revenue through those referral marketing programs, Mention Me has been increasingly investing into the first-party data that comes from referral, as well as that machine learning and AI piece, which has led us to launching the world's first customer advocacy intelligence platform. So really, we start by setting up referral programs that help brands improve word of mouth, and then use that data and insight that it produces to enable our clients to confidently invest in customer experience improvements. And in turn, that really helps every customer become more of an advocate for that brand. And so a very important part of being able to leverage this data and insight is being integrated into our clients' wider marketing strategy and tech stack. And so our partnership with Attentive plays a big part in that. And we're passing all of this data into the Attentive platform. If we go to the next slide, we can see the use cases. So we're going to go through 3 of the workflows that we have found best practice. And the first is really using that data that we're passing in to increase referrals. So it's knowing who within your customer base has registered for the referral program and is engaging with it, and who isn't. And who isn't, we can promote to them. And when we simply promote through SMS, we see a 11% increase in referral revenue. Really simple use case, really effective. The next is really about increase the repeat purchase rate. And that's really about reminding people, let's say I've recommended my friend successfully. I actually have a discount that I can use, but I haven't used it yet. I haven't come and bought for a second time. So simply, we just send out reminder texts. And when we do that, we see a 22% increase in referral revenue. So again, really simple way to effectively use this data and increase your revenue. And then finally, it's about using all of that data to improve the segmentation. So really, who are your most valuable customers? How do you treat them like VIPs, and use your SMS campaigns to do that? And when we use this data within the SMS campaigns, we see a 17% click-through rate, which is 7% higher than the benchmark average of 10. So really effective use cases here, and they're all pre-built into Attentive. Next slide. Just quick overview, you've got the templates there. So all of these best practices, all you have to do is click on those pre-built workflows, and it has suggested content in there as well. And it's always nice to see this in live action. In the next slide, we'll see with Warrior. This is one of our mutual customers who set up this integration. And Adam, who's the head of e-commerce there, said we simply set up the pre-built workflows and we're live. We quickly saw the impact these personalized messages were making on our revenue, engaging our existing customers and attracting new ones. So super effective. And we can see them already seeing an increase in those key metrics around increased referral revenue and increased overall new customers coming through SMS.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to just pass it over to you, but you're ahead of the game. Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to talk through a couple workflows. So first, I want to talk through the Amperity customer data platform ingests and processes identity data from many different sources. So think online, offline transactions, loyalty data, email data, and SMS data. So from Attentive. Some examples of the attributes that Amperity ingests from Attentive include a customer's phone number, email address, ops status, and many more. And once that data is ingested, Amperity has a patented ID resolution tool, which unifies customer records on a daily, ongoing basis to be used for analyzing customer insights, as well as marketing activation. And then once those customer records have been unified, this second workflow shows Amperity egressing customer data downstream to Attentive and other platforms through direct connectors. Amperity can egress data in 2 ways. 1, as an automated feed that sends on a recurring basis, or 2, as a one-time audience segment. Amperity can send customer, transactional, and predictive attributes through this process to power personalization and fine-tune segmentation for marketing campaigns downstream. And then finally, once data attributes have been sent to Attentive through our direct connector, users can build an audience in Attentive using those attributes for a campaign.
Awesome. Thanks. That was really cool. It's cool to see how some of the other teams are using the different integrations and leveraging them with Attentive. But I'm going to talk a little bit from the Loop perspective. So if you recall, Loop, like I mentioned, is an e-commerce platform that helps brands automate their returns and manage the cost of processing returns and the load on the customer experience teams that can sometimes bring, as well as drive retention and customer engagement and continue to bring customers back to make sure that if they don't get the right product the first time, that they ultimately end up with a product that they love. And we leverage our integration with Attentive to, as mentioned previously in the panel, make sure that the return and exchange experience is first and foremost really transparent for customers, but also is an opportunity for brands to more effectively engage with their customers to drive those repeat purchases. So we're going to talk through 2 examples of how our integration supports this. One area is leveraging Loop and returns data from customers to win customers back who have previously returned for a refund. Maybe it's because of a sizing or a styling related reason, and they tried the brand out. Maybe they're a first time customer, but they didn't quite find something that they loved. And so they actually got a refund. And so Loop prides ourselves on kind of leveraging those opportunities that are maybe a disappointment for a customer to turn that around and give the brand a second chance and actually turn that into a positive experience for both the customer and the merchant. And then on the flip side of that, you can also leverage satisfied customers to build your feedback library. So if you know, for instance, that a customer recently made a purchase or they did an exchange and they got a new product that they love, reaching back out to them to say, hey, we saw that you recently went through this process, let us know how it was. Use that as an opportunity to solicit feedback and reviews and boost up some of that user-generated content that then can be leveraged to, bring first-time customers into the fold and kind of convince them to maybe try out your brand for the first time. And then a second example that we'll talk through really quickly, if you want to go to, yep, perfect, thank you, is really motivating customers who have outstanding store credit from a return to repurchase. So if you're like me, I'm sure everyone has experienced this before where you've gotten maybe a gift card as a gift, or you've done a return for store credit, and then that store credit just kind of lives in an email or sometimes in your actual wallet, and you never really end up using it. So with the Loop and Attentive integration, you can actually leverage that data that you have about customers who have outstanding credit to not only yes, you've captured that money as a brand, but the customer hasn't ended up necessarily getting the most out of what they could with your brand and your product catalog. So you can reach back out to them via SMS to say, hey, here's a product recommendation based on something that you've bought previously, or introduce new arrivals and best sellers, and really remind those hesitant customers that there are help channels available. So if they have maybe an outstanding store credit that they haven't used, pointing them to a live chat or an online stylist, especially if you know that they've had sizing or styling issues with your brand in the past. So again, just a couple of ways that the 2 systems can kind of work together to build that brand loyalty and drive that repeat purchase, and also make for a good customer experience.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And huge shout out to our guest panelists and sponsors for sharing these insights and workflows with us. There are a lot of amazing gems shared. So if you missed something, no worries. You can totally watch this recording later. Otherwise, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And if you have more questions, feel free to share those with us using our events email. And then we'll also follow up with more resources after this recording. Thank you. Bye.